What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew: Shad, Kelvin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. For everyone who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel. Help make this show the best that it can be. Now, I'm looking forward to learning how to feature actual video content when I upload these presentations. I'm looking forward to that. It's just a matter of time, and when I start learning how to do it, we're really going to feature, a look that hopefully really stand out and looks professional. So I'm learning, but they won't let it go, man. They won't let it go. It was okay. What's crazy about this? Here we go again. Once again. What's the trigger point? The trigger point is for this guy, and look. Let me put it like this. When Michael Jordan, started winning, he and the Chicago Bulls started winning championships. I guarantee you, they were not. First of all, the term GOAT was an acronym for greatest of all time. The first time that we really heard that in sports is when that acronym was used to identify Jerry Rice as the quote unquote GOAT receiver, the greatest receiver in the history of the NFL. That's really when the term GOAT was first brought into sports lingo. I just wanted to make that known. So when Jordan was winning, when he started winning championships, we didn't hear this, who's the greatest basketball player ever, every day. Do you realize, man? And I'm going to tell you the cycle. And look, man, I really wish the NBA would get back on point so we can simply start talking about the games again. And then like, okay, who was the best player by season's end? Then you could have a discussion. Okay, who's the best player in the league? Usually how they did it back then. To be viewed as the best player in the world, you had to win a championship. You had to lead your championship. And really, when you look at it like that, it makes the importance of being a superstar that much more profound. Whichever superstar won the title by season's end, leading their team, you didn't see all this player movement regarding superstars. You saw trades and whatnot. But superstars remain on their team pretty much throughout the entire, for the most part, throughout their peak absolute prime years up until that point, for the most part. Okay, but we didn't hear this every day. This so-called debate is suffocating the NBA because it's not warranted when you use logic. So I saw this segment on what's that show that come on? The show hosted by Emmanuel Acho, and Rick Bucher was a guest on this show today. And I want to play the entirety of this so-called debate. Now listen to which person has to state their case for their guy. Listen to how each person poses their position. And it's a stark difference between the two. And I'm going to play this entire segment. Just listen to it. This whole thing. And the trigger point is, and I'm telling you, whatever team that this guy plays on, when they make a major move, it's all contingent. Because you didn't hear nothing about no go talk during the first part of the season pertaining to LBJ the Hurricane until they made this trade for Luka Doncic, and the Lakers are winning games and they feeling good about his chances of winning another championship. See, see what they don't realize is their argument is based on conditions rather than the actual performance and what the criteria has always been based on winning. I want you to listen to this. I'm going to play it now. Check it out.
The problem that I have when we go to statistics.
Wait a minute.
No more brilliant mind than the man standing to my left. If you care about sports and the sport of basketball, turn up your volume, dial into this conversation. Rick, not only do you know a lot about basketball, but you know a lot about the history of the game. So let's talk about the most important and transcendent basketball conversation that there is, the GOAT conversation. How much is LeBron James helping his GOAT case with his performances this season?
He's not. He's not.
I did all of that setup.
Yeah.
50,000 points, 17 and 20, best record the last six.
Now remind you, Acho last year during the play-in tournament when Denver clinched the number 2 seed in the West. This was the same guy who said he wanted the Lakers to avoid having to play Denver in the first round and encouraged that they intentionally lose in the first play-in game and then win the second play-in game and qualify for the playoffs as an A seed to face the number 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder because he felt more confident about the Lakers beating the Oklahoma City Thunder versus having to go up against the Denver Nuggets. So there was no confidence that the Lakers could beat them. And the thing is, if the person that he wants to be viewed as the GOAT is actually the GOAT, then the attitude should be, it don't matter who we play. I feel confident that my guy is going to lead them to victory anyway. But let me continue.
MVP campaign, and you're going to sit here and tell me he's not.
He's not. And LeBron would actually agree with me that he's not, based on what he has already said. Because if it was a matter of longevity and cumulative stats, then he would have been chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar all this time, and he would still be trying to catch him in terms of all of the accomplishments that Kareem had. Yes, he's taken the scoring title, a couple other things that Kareem did that LeBron hasn't. 6 titles, for example. So, and league MVP.
Michael Jordan is the GOAT because he went to 6 for 6 and never lost. Then we're excluding the fact that LeBron James went to more championships. We're excluding the fact that LeBron James has more points. We're excluding the fact that LeBron James has more assists, that he has more rebounds, that he has quite literally more of every aggregate statistic than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan does have more championship wins, not championship appearances. So we're excluding everything that LeBron James continues to do because he'll never be a better Jordan than Jordan. But nobody will.
Well, no. Not a better Jordan. A better basketball player.
But he's proven to be a better basketball player.
No, he has not. No, he's...
You got more boards, you got more rebounds, you got more assists.
And more turnovers. By far. We seem to eliminate those. My point is, Michael Jordan, at his best, was the best that we've ever seen. Winning championships. That 9-10 year period where he won 10 consecutive titles, won 6 championships, was the finals MVP in all 6 of them, and was NBA first team. Like, you just can't beat that.
But here's my question, Slick.
Yeah.
What about all the other years? Michael Jordan played for more than just from 1990 to 1999. Like, he did play 5, 8, 6, 8, 7, 8. Yeah, he did lose to the Pistons, Slick. I'm not making this up.
No, you know.
How come we exclude the beginning years? We exclude the Wizards years. We only talk about the
because that's when he hit a zenith that no one has ever reached before. It's as simple as that. In that period was when he established that he was the greatest thing we'd ever seen. And so we're not discounting the other years, but we're also not giving credit for, look, LeBron hasn't been great every single year, right? He's had his down years, he's had his down periods. He's just been around longer. And I'll go back to this. Look, when we talk about the greatest point guards of all time, John Stockton Johnson far and away the sixth. He is generally not in the conversation. Like,
would you suggest this?
It's Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson is like seventh on the list.
We could suggest this, that LeBron James's floor is higher than Michael Jordan's floor, but Michael Jordan's ceiling is higher than LeBron James' ceiling. Because Michael Jordan is 39, 40. We saw it in Wizards year. Shout out to a 55-point game here and there, but he wasn't doing 26, 8, and 8. So we have to also acknowledge the fact that LeBron James is still doing it at a significantly higher clip.
Well, this is the problem that I have when we go to statistics. Is because over the decades, over the eras, the way the game is played has changed. And so the meaning and the significance of statistics has changed.
Brilliant.
LeBron James, it is a discredit to what he has been and what he was at his best to suggest that this LeBron James, because statistically it looks the same, that he's the same player. He's so smart. He's done so much work to maintain his ability that it is impressive to tell that he's still doing what he's doing.
Let me push back. Let me push back on this.
Bring it.
I would suggest that the game from top to bottom is significantly more competitive today than it was then. Here's why I would suggest that. Because scouting is better. Because resources are better. Because development, it might not necessarily be better based upon the AAU circuit, but what I would suggest is a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo, he wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990. He wouldn't have been in the NBA because we wouldn't have found him. A player like Luka Doncic, he wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990 because we wouldn't have found him. A player like Nikola Jokic, he wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990 because we wouldn't have found him. So what I'm suggesting is 3 of maybe the best 6 to 7 players in the NBA today wouldn't have been in the NBA back in 1990 because we wouldn't have found him. Again, I'm a dual passport holder, so I'm very fascinated both with the game locally and the game globally. So what I'm simply suggesting is, though you are incredibly accurate and correct, that statistically the numbers are more grotesque today because the game of basketball defensively is played differently. Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with Nikola Jokic. They were still somewhere in maybe Serbia. He didn't have to deal with Luka Doncic. They were somewhere in Slovenia. He didn't have to deal with Giannis. They were somewhere in Nigeria.
Can I push back now?
Push back.
Because it balances out. Who are the American players today who are at the top of the team? Who are the really big champions?
Jason Tatum, John Morant, Anthony Edwards,
right? That's what's smart. Is the development of American players is not what it once was. And so, yes, we've got foreign players coming in. We've got globally, we are capturing all the talent in the world, but it balances out that the American talent is not at the same level.
Let's head to the desk real quick.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask whoever heard that, which argument is more concrete? Which argument is based on actual results than conditions? What I mean is this. See, this is big because the future of the NBA, it just hit me thinking about this today. The future of the NBA and how it's going to move forward is all contingent on how people respond to this so-called debate. Rick Bucher's argument is based off, number one, the history of the game. Just like when Ocho brought up the fact that, the NBA didn't have a player like Giannis. The NBA didn't have a player like Jokic. But see, this is why you don't compare eras. Because you had Patrick Ewing. You had David Robinson. You had Akeem Olajuwon. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm getting at is, and this is getting real, to state a case for LBJ, the Hurricane, you have to downgrade the past. You have to downgrade the past. To state your case for Jordan, all you have to do is highlight the results. One argument is based on winning. The other argument is based on conditions and external factors, or what they feel is tangible, a la statistics. Ocho say Well, LBJ went to 10 finals. Number one, he don't say how he got there. Number two, LBJ lost more finals than Jordan won without losing. When you've been, see what I'm trying to say is, you see how he skipped over the results by saying he went to 10 finals, but he didn't mention that he lost 6. Because if you mention that he lost 6, that will highlight the fact that he has a losing percentage in championship play. The other guy, he was so money, he was so surefire, he was so money that he played in the sport of basketball. He played in 10 championship games or series. 6 times in the finals, 2 times in the Olympics, FIBA, college, and the Pan Am Games, the Pan American Games. This man was 11-0 in championship play. See, the so-called Jordan detractors, they don't mention that. Do you know how huge that is? And how much of a debate this is actually not? When you uphold the standard, see, to state the case for the other guy, you have to lower the standard. You have to compare errors. You have to be inaccurate in what you say about the past. Now, this is what I'm talking about. When he says, well, and the reason that they have to say, with Jordan, y'all act like Jordan didn't lose early in his career. Nobody ever said that. Because the history is going to show, well, first of all, did LBJ win a championship when he first got in the league? You see, they so keen up on tearing Jordan down when the whole argument should be based on winning when you reach the point of reaching your prime, where a team has spent a number of years building a team around you to put you in position to vie for a championship. At that point, that's when the debate really should start. To be honest, truth be told, no young player entering the league, it really should be about, showing that they belong in the league, showing that, okay, they can be dominant in this league. But when you start talking about greatest ever, I really don't even think see, they take the natural thought process out of the way. They supplant that with narratives. So Rick Bucher presents reality. The other guy creates virtual reality. Listen to what he said. He said, well, LeBron went to 10 finals. But first of all, they never say, they make it seem like he did it by himself, when in all actuality, he's played with more talent than anybody in the history of the NBA. And if they pointed that out, it would really further discredit this whole debate. What I'm trying to say, people, is Jordan overachieved, people. The other guy underachieved. Now, like I said, at the beginning of the season, up until the trade deadline, you didn't see these cats on these airwaves mention anything about the GOAT talk because they wasn't sure about the roster. But as soon as they make a major a blockbuster trade, not just Luka Doncic, but they made other moves prior to that, then they start feeling confident. They coming out the West, and they totally disrespect the competition. That's not how people who cover the league acted back then. I'm telling you. The attitude was, this goes for anybody. To be considered the best in the game, you have to lead your team to a championship. It wasn't about stats. Now, stats are a reflection of the type of player that you are, and a reflection of your game, but it is not indicative of whether you are winning. What's indicative of whether you're winning or not is you leading your team to championships when you are in a position to vie for one. I guarantee I would say the majority of superstars who have played in this game, at one point, a team has been built around them good enough to where they can vie for a championship. It comes down to whether the superstar is proven to be good enough to beat anybody standing in the way to raise that trophy by season's end. If trades have to be made for you every year to give you the advantage, well, logically and realistically, you're not the GOAT. The system is being manipulated to give the impression to state your case that you're the GOAT. Look, like I said, Rick Bucher's argument is absolute in nature because he upheld the standard. The other guy, Ocho, you have to lower the bar. Then you start saying stuff like, well, he didn't have to play against Giannis Antetokounmpo. But first of all, Giannis Antetokounmpo is playing right now. See, what I'm trying to say is they're trying to base their argument by tearing down Jordan rather than what he's doing right now. So what they're saying is whenever LeBron or LBJ loses, it's because the competition was too good. But back then, as a superstar, critics of the NBA or NBA critics or people covering the league, the mindset was, as a superstar, you have to lead your team to the championship. Even if initially the team that's around you, how can I say this, fundamentally may not have enough presence as complementary players or like secondary players to contribute enough for you to win, but it's still contingent on the superstar. So what I mean by that is Jordan, as he continued as a player and moving forward, and as he got better, and see, that's another thing. In this era, as I always say, it's not about talent, it's about mentality. When they try to lobby for superstars to get help and to team up, well, at that point, you're not really getting better as a superstar. Not meaning that you're not great, not meaning that you're not one of the best players in the game at that point. But what I'm saying is, Jordan understood, man. He didn't just put the onus and say, well, I need help and we got to get this type of player. No, he continued to improve in order to elevate his teammates so they could improve. That's the very essence of being a superstar right there. And that's my whole point. So what I'm trying to say, people, this is why the NBA is suffocating, because of a debate that's not warranted, people. It's not warranted. If the shoe was on the other foot and LBJ was 6-0, right? And Jordan had 6 championship losses and a losing percentage in the final, I would say the exact same thing. I would say there's no way in the world Michael Jordan is better than LBJ because the standard is winning. As you enter your prime, it's about winning. When you turn, like when the season start, we don't say, well, who gonna score the most? You don't be thinking about, man, who gonna lead the league in total points scored and all this stuff. No, you be in your mind, you be like, man, who's the favorite to win the championship going into the season? And normally, when you say the favorite, it was based on the superstar and his team, whatever roster that team had at the start of the season, that pretty much was the same team that competed throughout the course of the season. But when you benefit from unfair advantages and you constantly getting trades to get the jump on the competition, you're not really competing. See, it's this whole era when it comes to this GOAT debate that they're trying to push every day, it's all based on manipulation. It's not based on true achievement. See, one guy, he became so dominant, they was trying to come up with ways to distract him to keep him from winning, and he still won. You see, that's what I'm saying. This is what made Michael Jordan unbeatable. When Acho say, well, Jordan didn't win early on in his career. Well, first of all, most superstars don't win right out the box. You have your exception, Magic. Now, Magic got drafted by a team that was already playoff level, but because of his leadership and his all around court ability, he as the point guard of the team, he helped to win a championship as a rookie. Bird, he won a title in his second year, and in his rookie year, he did lead them to 60 wins, and then they did tweak the lineup, and they did win a championship in his second year. But for the most part, superstars coming in, it takes time to build a team around that player. So they really don't realize they're really stating the case for Michael Jordan. Look, when he first came in the league, as a rookie, he led the Chicago Bulls to the playoffs. So realistically, right there, he has the jump. He came in the league, averaging 28 points a game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. Okay. So he had to face championship level squads as a rookie in his first 3 years in the league. So when they say he never won them without Pippen, they don't never say who he had to face. For practical purpose, they probably don't even know outside the 86 Celtics, because you got another guy who constantly brings that up. Well, he never beat the Celtics. He did. Why couldn't he beat the 86 Celtics? Well, nobody beat the 86 Celtics. They blitzkrieg through the competition. See, they don't use logic. Logic is based on rational thinking. And really, when it comes to this, if you uphold the history of the game, then it's a no-brainer. They don't want to do that, because the only way that they can state the case for the other guy is through manipulation. That's the only way they can do it. Okay, so you go in your rookie year, you face a team in the first round, you the A seed, and that team that you face won 59 games. Now, who thinks that an A seed is going to be the number 1 seed like that? And in the second year, he went up against the 67, the 86 Celtics, one of the 3 best teams to ever do it. A team featuring arguably the greatest front court of all time. Wasn't nobody finna beat that team, not that year. Showtime Lakers wasn't finna beat them. The Pistons wasn't finna beat them. Dominique and the Hawks weren't gonna beat them. Houston Rockets didn't beat them in the finals. Nobody was gonna beat that team. They were destined to win the championship. And then the following year, he had to go up against the defending champion, Boston Celtics, who won 59 games that year. They don't use logic, people. Now, see, the thing about it is, now when it comes to LBJ, nobody was necessarily penalizing him or got on his back that he didn't lead his team to the playoffs the first 2 years. Because you knew eventually he was going to get better. His team was going to slowly get better, and eventually they would make the playoffs. You see how that works? You see how that works, people? So at the end of the day, there's no debate, man. But it's so frustrating. They don't realize, man, they are suffocating the NBA. And when they pose this question about who's going to be the new face of the NBA, me personally, I think the reason why a lot of these young stars are turning it down, because they're not being appreciated for their efforts, because they are going out there. They are trying to emulate and perform as superstars, like superstars of the past, but they're not getting any recognition for it. And this is why, to me personally, I don't. When you hear Anthony Edwards say, "I don't want to be the face of the league," I think a lot of that is he's looking at it like, "Well, dang, I'm a young star in this league. I'm not on the super team, and we just went to the conference finals last year, Minnesota Timberwolves, and it's like they keep on talking about the same dude because, as I say, they want him to be viewed as the greatest basketball player ever, but the resume don't show up. It don't match up. See, the thing is, the question that really should be posed is to really show that this debate is not based on anything logical. You ask them, who are you picking with the championship on the line? Are you picking player A, whose records show that he's flawless in championship play, or player B, who has a losing record in the finals? That's all they got to do. That'll squelch this nonsense, man. Then it won't be about, well, Jordan didn't get to the finals his first 5-6 years. None of that matters because the thing about it was he and his team was slowly improving every year where they was getting close to that point. You see, they had to go through the fire. So there was no shortcuts taken. They built so much resolve and character as players and as a team, and Michael Jordan as a leader. By the time that they reached the finals, man, they had seen it all. He had experienced. He experienced the physical play by the bad boy Pistons, the gamesmanship of a Larry Bird. He went through all of that. So by the time he went to the finals, once he broke through, knowing how the path that he had to go through to get there, you knew at that point he wasn't going to be beaten in the NBA Finals. Period. And his final record reflected. The other guy, that's why they always say, well, he got there. Well, getting there is half the battle when you've been there that many times. At that point, it's about winning. If you want to state your case, it's about winning as the superstar, where you're not requesting trades to bring in other guys or going from team to team and stack the deck. This is all based on manipulation. And if you uphold the history of the game, then it's a no-brainer. If you disregard the history of the game, then you have to use manipulation to state the case. And a lot of misnomers and a lot of smoke and mirrors. When you say, well, he been to 10 finals, but you don't mention the losses, well, that's what you call a smoke in the mirror. You see what I'm saying? But when you highlight that a man went to 6 finals and went 6 for 6, no game sevens, and he never faced a 2-1 deficit in the finals. You know what that means? That means he was in no serious threat of losing championship. No serious threat. Once he took the lead in the finals, even if I know his first finals, they lost the first game to Utah. Not Utah, but LA. They came back in that game 2, they blew us out by 21 points. In your heart, you kind of knew it was over. In your heart. And then in the 98 finals, in the rematch versus Utah did win game 1 at home, and then the Bulls won the next 3 games, went up 3-1. I'm telling you, he wasn't gonna be beaten. And when the supporters of this other guy, when they really realized that, man, I'm telling you, dog, this is frustrating. And in the future of the NBA stems from how people are going to take this debate. If they uphold the standard, the NBA can be prosperous in the future. If they don't, then this league will flounder. Guaranteed. And that just hit me today. That's how big this is, because this is how they crafted it. They don't base the GOAT status on winning, but ironically, they always trying to put them in position every year to win the championship, because they know ultimately that is the telltale. That is the true measure of being considered the greatest basketball player ever. And see, the thing is, people, Now, Bill Russell, now if they want to say he's the greatest winner, I respect that because he got 11 championships. But he's not who they looking to eliminate because they know Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player ever. And this is so bodacious and it's so unfortunate what they're trying to do because it's bringing down the league dynamic. And you can see it on all levels if you uphold the history of the game. And more people add fuel to the fire every year. They just feed into it. And that's why another basketball player came out there 6 years ago say the environment surrounding this situation is toxic. This is toxic. You disrespect it. When you come on there and you say Lakers coming out the West, out of the box, they didn't say that until they got Luka. See, it's contingent on Luka, not LBJ. But for the Bulls, it was always contingent on Michael Jordan getting the job done when his number was called and when the money was on the line. All someone got to do, go back and peep them finals, dog. It was always going to come up. It was always going to come up to him getting it done. So I just want to drop that, man. And I'm telling you, man, they're not going to let it go. Do you know this week, after they saw that Luka would be Luka, and I'm not saying Lakers going to win the championship. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when they first traded for Luka, they didn't really know. They weren't talking about no goal talk then. But as soon as Luka had some big games, he dropping 30 points, you know what I'm saying? And that LBJ can roam. Because what did they tell you? Well, shit, LeBron, he's free to roam now. He can just concentrate on doing this thing. Well, Jordan had at liberty. Because even with Pippen as his number 2 guy, he still had to score against double teams, triple teams, traps, half-court traps, baseline traps, perimeter traps. And then you had the Jordan rules. And he still overcame all of that. And that's why he said, no matter what you do, no matter what changes you make, I'm going to still overcome that challenge. That's not what the other guy's about. It's about, when you say stacking a deck, that means you want an advantage to the point where you feel that you can't lose, not because of your ability, but because of what's around you. And that's the separation. And it's all about upholding competition, people. And like I say, the future of this league stems on how people respond to this disingenuous debate subject. Disingenuous. Because to try to downgrade Jordan, you have to trash every aspect of his career. When he played, the so-called competition, every decade has elite competition. Every decade has its rivals. That's not a great argument. That's what you call smoke and mirrors. I'm not going to sit here and downgrade the 70s or the 60s to say that if I feel a certain player is the greatest ever who I grew up watching. I'm not going to do that. I'm going, you revisit, you do your research, you look at the results, and you look at the impact that people say about that player in a positive way without trashing others. That's how you determine who's who. And you can determine who's who by putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And players going to be ranked where they pretty much deserve to be ranked by day's end. So I just wanted to play that segment for the people. And like I say, it's not going to stop. You know what? It's going to basically it's going to self-impose. It's going to collapse under its own weight. That's really what's going to happen. And I just hope the NBA can move on from this in a positive way. But share your comments and thoughts. This is JB with another Golden Nugget. Until next time, BTB behind the bench.